Hubba Bubba from the bubble as the Toronto Raptors go 2-0 in their bid for a second NBA championship. 104-99, the final score against the Eastern Conference's 7th seed Brooklyn Nets, a closer game than Game 1. And we will break it all down right here on Raptors Nightcap, presented by the good folks at Sterling Vineyards, experts in Napa Valley Winery. So, guys, we're officially sponsored. So I expect we're going to get a nice little care package. I'll send out to everybody. I know Savannah's not of age yet, so we'll spare her the wine. But let's just jump into it. A lot closer game. The Brooklyn Nets, a lot more spirited in this outing. And it actually came down to the final moments where the Raptors had to close it out in true playoff fashion. I'll bring in our family member, Amy Audibert, and ask her what she thought of the Raptors finally engaged in a close game traditionally down the stretch in the playoffs.
Yeah, to me, it was just business and getting it done. I mean, this is, I hate to use the word inferior, but the Nets are just right now, they're just not the same talented team that Toronto is. And so Toronto let them play around. But what I saw in the fourth quarter was the highest scoring performance from the Raptors at 30 and the lowest of Brooklyn at 19. So they made some big plays and they got some big stops. But unfortunately, what we all saw today was when you let teams hang around for 3 quarters, it does come down to those final few possessions. And our talent up here is just better right now. So, I mean, it happened the way it was supposed to. We won the basketball game, but we got to get stops early.
Yeah, I thought, Amy and Akil, of course, Brooklyn was going to come out swinging, right? When you lose a game like they did in Game 1, you have really nothing to lose at that point. So you're able to play a lot more freer. And you saw that in the first half of the first quarter. The Brooklyn Nets went 8 for their first 9 and 4 for 4 from downtown. So it wasn't like they were going to shoot that well for the entire game. But when you do start shooting like that, you are going to have confidence throughout the game. So when it was winning time, the Raptors did buckle down, play defense. They outscored them 30-19 in the fourth. And I thought that there were 2 sort of winning plays that won't show up in the points column for the Raptors. And that's when Fred and Kyle sort of tag teamed a rebound there right after Norm got called for a off the ball foul that led to a free throw. I thought that rebound was essential. And it was just this little extra effort from Fred to tip it away from, I think, Jared Allen. And then Kyle came down with it. And then with about a minute to go, Pascal Siakam Not a great possession, to say the least, on the offensive end. Turned it over, but what did he do? He defended on the other end and then came skying in for the rebound. And that little extra effort, I think, are the plays that make the Raptors who they are, and I think those are the winning plays.
All right, so let's talk about Norm Powell. This is a guy that's been a bench contributor for this group, a part of this growth group when you talk about Fred and Pascal and OG. But you kind of know what you're getting from the Raptors, and then you get that extra punch once in a while from a different guy. Tonight it was Norm's turn. I'll start with you, Amy, on what you saw from Norm that allowed him to get off in this game.
Attack mentality, and he was one of the few that really had that coming into the game. In the early first quarter, wasn't the prettiest for Toronto, but I thought Norm did a great job of getting to the rim. And when offense isn't clicking great, when you get to the rim, it's a great way to get everyone involved. Good things happen. I think there was a play when Serge caught it on the low post and he reverse pivot, and you saw about 4 black jerseys collapse, and it was a kick out, an extra pass to Norm, still got to the rim. And to me, that's how you set the tone, right? You don't have to be on. Listen, you're not going to get 22 threes every game. Let's put our feet back on the ground, right? You've got to get to the rim, and that's what Norm did. I think the Raptors finished with 46 points in the paint. And Norm had 24. I'd say a good percentage of those were from the paint, and that was what today was about for me, was Norm getting to the rim.
Yeah, you're right, Amy. When Norm came in, the Raptors needed a spark, and they got it from him. He had 13 points or 11 points in his first 13 minutes on 5 of 7 shooting. You're right. He was going to the net. He was attacking in full attack mode throughout the game, and then he did the same in the fourth quarter. So he had a quintessential 6-man game, right? You come in, you make an impression, and in the fourth quarter, you're still there, and you're making those winning plays, dunking. I just think he's getting so good at finishing around the rim, right? That was kind of his Achilles heel for a little bit of a stretch there a couple of years ago. And then last year he made some progress on that. And then this year he's just been outstanding, finishing with both hands, opposite feet, and just having a lot more composure when he gets deep in the lane.
And he gets to play against one of the best guys doing that, right? And Kyle Lowry every day when they practice, because his finishes around the rim are pretty special and what he can do. And so you wonder if Norm's kind of picked a little of that savviness up just from going at him all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'll throw Fred VanVleet into that bunch too, because I think Fred's got a nice elite layup package attached to himself. But you look at the numbers he had tonight: 24 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds. And our producer Patrick, claims that Fred has found the switch. Now, that's that rare switch. Dame Lillard's definitely got the switch. Certain guys have that switch. But do you see that growth in Fred now where he's able to not stand out for the majority of a game, but then know the time and place to kind of take a few possessions just for himself and raise the play of everyone else, Randy?
Yeah, I think he understands when it's his time. I don't know if it's at the level of, Damian Lillard or in those types of guys, but he has an uncanny ability to recognize when he should take the shot, when he should draw the defensive kick, like he did to Norm when Norm blew past Allen for the dunk near the end of the game. And he's so good on the defensive end as well. It's when I was watching it today, there's something that stood out. Man, he is so important to what the Raptors are doing, and even more important than I think I even gave him credit for. And the other his teammates look for him like that. They see what he's like on the bench. They see what he's like on the court. His composure is always, elite. He's never out of control. He doesn't really complain unless it's a blatant foul. And I think, it's a good leader to follow.
Amy, your thoughts on Fred's contributions to the Toronto Raptors push right now?
Oh, come on. How long do we have, right? I mean, we saw it last year too in the finals. I've heard all these other nicknames in the last couple of days. No, he's still Steady Freddy. For as brilliant as he is, and so as hype as he gets us all, we need those plays at key moments. It's not just about the glitz and glam. He kept us in the game at times. I think it was late. Temple hit a 3, and then they put the ball in Freddie's hand, and Temple darted at him. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he just crossed over, got through everyone, and got to the rim again. And it's 2 points. We need it. But you just look at the composure and the calmness that he brings. It's funny saying he's calm when he does the outrageous, awesome things he does. But I don't think the Raptors have a ring without Freddie from last year. And I think if we're contending this year, it's got to be because Freddie continues to be very steady.
And isn't that crazy though, guys? Because this is a guy that's undrafted.
Yeah.
This was a backup. This was what people thought was going to be a career backup. And then he steps into the starting role, and he is a budding all-star. And there's no denying it. There are going to be suitors for this guy, and hopefully the Raptors are the biggest ones in the offseason.
All right, we can't go any further without mentioning, Mr. Toronto Raptors, and that's Kyle Lowry, 21-9. But it's not just the numbers, because it never really is about the numbers with Kyle Lowry. Amy, isn't.
No, I mean, he's the leader. He's the guy. He's the face of the team. You look at his success, and it's never just about the numbers. He's got to have. If his numbers aren't great, he still has to be out there. He still has to be a presence. He still has to be a leader. And when we talk about that, I mean, it's still Kyle that everyone's looking at. By the way, that lineup down the fourth quarter was really awesome, right? We don't see that too much, but I think we might. It was OG, Pascal, Kyle, Norm, and Freddie. And that, to me, was also what kind of sealed the deal against Brooklyn. But it goes back to Kyle. He's your leader. And, I mean, you can't lose any of them at this point, but certainly not Kyle.
Yeah, he can impact the game when he's scoring. He can impact the game when he has 0 points and 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 47 charges taken. Like, this is the kind of player that he is. But today I thought there were moments where they needed something, and he gave it to them in the form of either an and one or a great pass or just getting into somebody defensively. He had it all going again today in true Kyle fashion.
All right, so everyone knows game one, you come in with your game plan, and if you're the losing team of game one, you throw out the game plan and you make some kind of adjustment. So Jacques Vaughn had to make his adjustment. What did you make of what him and his backcourt? Because really, this is like the best players that they can put out there are their backcourt players. What did you make of what Brooklyn tried to do, Randy, with this group in game two, and what the Raptors can maybe extrapolate from that as part of an attack theory?
Well, I'll say they did a great job again on Caris LeVert. Caris LeVert was 3 of 9 in the first quarter with 10 points, and that was the best performance he had throughout the game. I think after that, he went 2 for 13, finished with 16. He still had the 11 assists. He had 15 last game, but that just meant Cabarrot and Temple had to step up, and they did that for the most part today. Cabarrot was 3 of 10. I think they would have liked to have a few more knockdowns from him, but Garrett Temple was great. He made 5 threes. But defensively, the Raptors, they just kind of hung around. They played hard. And then, actually the moment that I think the game really changed was when Karooks committed that ridiculous foul on OG Anunoby. That's when the team kind of said, they rallied together. Kyle brought them together. They just played better defense. OG started attacking. I just felt like that moment was the time they needed something to light a spark, to ignite them. And I think that was that moment. And then after that, they just went crazy.
Amy, let's talk about this Brooklyn Nets team and the fact that they were completely outclassed in game one. They came out today and, the ball was moving better for them. Are there things that this Brooklyn Nets team can take out of this performance, knowing technically they're going to have 2 home games?
Well, you just throw that off the table. I think so. And we saw TLC at Scotiabank, right, in the G League. We know what Timothé is capable of. He's a great man. And I think giving him the start was great. And he came out and hit that 3 with about 10 seconds into the game. And you kind of right away, if you knew them, went, okay, they're coming to play today. But I thought a huge key for them was also Jarrett Allen. He was fantastic today, right? I think he had 14 and 15 rebounds. He's their length, right? He's their length. And today, when the Raptors seen a half step behind on defense, I thought that they used Jarrett Allen in a pick and roll. And when he rolled, they got him the ball. And sometimes as a big, when you roll, you just want to get to the rim. But he had the ball in his hands and he made reads. A couple times he maybe could have taken it. He kicked it out. And so to me, even though the ball goes in the hands of your big on a roll, it still moved. And I thought he was big. And I would not be surprised if we see that lineup moving forward as well, because listen, it's not good going down 0-2 against a good team like the Raptors, and there's definitely no moral victories in the playoffs, but they've got to feel confident in terms of the fight that they showed and the production they got from some guys.
All right. So
Sorry. Yeah, just really quickly. I just think that this was the game that Brooklyn had to get if they wanted to have any sort of fighting chance. In a series where the discrepancy of talent and players is this big, you've got game 2 to make it happen. If you don't, I don't know where you go from here. I know they're going to come out with another effort, but the Raptors sort of withstood their biggest punch and still came out on top and held them under 100 points. So I mean, I don't know what else Brooklyn can really do. So, I mean, kudos to the Raptors. And they didn't even play that great, to be honest, right? How many free throws did they miss?
Okay, so let's talk about Pascal Siakam, of course, the Toronto Raptors' main man in certain respects when you're future trending and when you're looking at dynamic ability on both offensive and defensive side of the ball. I mean, you look at the percentages. He shot 42% from the field, 50% from three. That's very important for him as he continues to maintain that ability to get defenders to edge up on him so he can blow by. Next two games are going to be important for him. You say they've done their job of taking the pressure off of themselves, but still, there's a lot of people watching for what Pascal does next. Amy, start with you digesting what you've seen from Pascal and what you'd like to see.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he had those 14 points in the first half, and everyone, I think, had a big smile on their face north of the border. It was nice to see that. In the second half, you would expect Brooklyn to make some adjustments on him. They did. So that's when Norm and Freddie step up. That's what a championship team does, right? I understand the whole narrative of you need this huge superstar. And yes, I think Pascal is continuing to grow in terms of being the face of the Raptors, but he doesn't win the championship alone. And so you see when Brooklyn adjusts and takes stuff away from him, who else steps up, right? And that's what we saw today. I think, and also let's talk about the defensive side for Pascal, because he can guard anybody, right? With his length and his speed, he really is an X factor on the defensive end. And I thought that there was a couple key plays where he sat down and he contributed to get a big stop when we needed it. But of course, you want to see that consistent, right? The entire game as the playoffs develop.
Well, I'll chime in here and challenge Amy then, because I know you're a great basketball mind, and I respect it. So I'll say, yeah, okay, you've given him the pass, but what is the next step for Pascal then when these situations do arrive?
Yeah, I just said consistency. There's my punch back at you, right? Those sitting down and getting a stop, that has to be the mentality for the duration of the basketball game. These games are not going to get easier. They're going to get harder. And so it's consistency. And when Freddie has to go off and Norm has to go off because you're taken out of the game, what are you doing off the ball? How are you still contributing? And I think we're okay. Come on, Akil, don't challenge me.
Yeah, no. I'm more a fan of I'm so obsessed with offense. Yeah. I'm always throwing him in the post, and Randy knows this. My solution for everything is when he doesn't play well offensively, throw him in the post and try to get some different looks. Randy?
Yeah, no, but Amy's right. He is an elite defender, and we forget about his abilities on the defensive end sometimes because we have OG Anunoby who's guarding the other team's best player most nights. So Pascal is able to kind of float, help out, block shots, step in the lane, recover, chase down 3-point shooters. And you forget about the one-on-one capabilities he had. And he had some really great moments locking down guys with the ball tonight. So I will give him credit for that. And I thought in the first quarter, he was what everybody's been waiting for with Pascal. He was attacking. He was decisive. His moves were quick in transition. They were quick in the half court. He wasn't fiddling around with the ball too much. He did that a little bit in the second half. But I also think, Akil, to fight back your point, again, when the game was teetering on the edge there, it was just a simple pick and roll with Fred and Pascal. And what did he do? He took the smaller man and got fouled. He only made 1 or 2 free throws, but he's going to have that advantage most nights.
All right. Well, first off, we got to thank Amy for her contributions, welcoming her back to the team as this was her first playoff game with us. And we will have you back later on, of course, in the week to help us continue to cover the Toronto Raptors. But right now, I think we got some sound checking in on the broadcast. The man of the night, depending on the argument, but I think we're all safe to stay with Norman Powell. Let's hear what the young man has to say after his big game.
I think we've all seen your ability to have great playoff games when it matters the most. Where do you think that sense of the moment comes in your game?
For me, it's just about focusing on what we got to do, staying present, staying within yourself, and staying confident in your abilities and taking what the game is giving you. I work a lot on my mental side and staying focused and locked in and just letting the game flow. And I feel like in the playoffs, nothing else matters. And I'm just able to focus in on what we have to do. I think that's the foundation of my game, playing with a pure heart, trying to be aggressive and make winning plays for the team. That's always been me when I was growing up. Doing whatever it takes to win.
Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate it.
Going to go next to Josh Lewenberg from TSN.
Hey, Norm, congrats on the win. You mentioned going back and watching the film from game one. It was sort of a strange one for you, picking up those early fouls. You took that hit in the first half as well. Probably didn't play as much as you would have liked. Can you take us through your focus and your approach coming off of that game? How much of it is looking back and how much of it is looking forward?
I try to just take what happened, learn from it, see where I could have been more forceful and aggressive. And that's just not on offense, just defensively, being in the right spot at the right time and not being a step late. Maybe if I was over there a little quicker or reacted better, I wouldn't be in a position to pick up those fouls, even if they were cheap fouls, in my opinion. So that's what I take from it. And today I just try to do that on both sides of the basketball, be a little more aggressive, picking guys up a little further up, getting into the game, creating that energy coming off the bench on both sides of the ball.
Thanks, Norm. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Before we get to our next question, anybody looking for Pascal Siakam, he's now in the locker room. Just go ahead and click the link on our chat. Next question for you, Norm, is going to go to Eric Kareen from The Athletic.
Hey, Norm, nice game. Congrats on the win. Obviously, you know that your numbers in transition and your numbers just finishing around the rim this year are around your career best. Is there anything you attribute that to? Is it just experience? Are you able to work on it in a specific way? What do you make of that?
I spend a lot of time, working on my touch in the off season, just different ways to use the glass, to create touching, finishing around the rim, things like that, different positioning around the basket. And I think it's just a lot of confidence and trust, and what you've been working on, and taking what the defense is giving you, looking for contact, not fading away, going directly at the rim to finish, and being able to adjust. So I've spent a lot of time on that and working with that, especially with the way teams guard me, trying to send me to my left or where, they're just a little tougher. So I spent a lot of time perfecting my weak hand. So I'm able to finish different ways around the rim. But I think a lot of it is just focusing and playing through the contact and, looking to finish rather than looking for a foul.
Jared Allen is obviously provides so much length there under the rim. When he's, first of all, can you talk about the challenge he presents when he isn't there? And second of all, when he's off the floor, how much more enticing does it become to drive?
I mean, he did a great job of using his length, to protect the rim. I think one thing that he does great is avoiding the contact. When you try to shoulder hit him when you're driving, he avoids that and uses his length to adjust your shots and get to the ball. I saw that when he blocked my shot in game one. So just trying to use different angles, to get him off balance, a little quicker, to where he doesn't know when you're going to finish or shoot the basketball. So I think that's what really helped me in seeing that. And when they're out, they're a little smaller. With not having DeAndre Jordan out there to come in as another 7-foot big to protect the rim, we're able to punch gaps and get into our drive, kick, swing offense and make plays at the rim.
Thanks, Norm.
Norman Powell, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 11 of 17 shooting. That's good for about 65%. I think that's Randy's career shooting average. But anyways, right now, we want to get you caught up on everything that's going on in the interweb. And since Randy refuses to embrace social media and I'm fresh out of data, I hand you over to Savanna Hamilton.
Yeah, Akil, I just wanted to say that I am of legal age to drink, so I better be getting a care package as well. In fact, I'm actually more concerned about you might not be able to. I'm just looking out for you, All right, let's get it. So updates on social, on Twitter, we got some fans giving Norm so much love, of course, like Powell power, keep it going, # we the North. We got Mario out here saying playoff Powell. I've seen a playoff of all the power and Powell nicknames you could possibly give, of course. J.E. Skeets, formerly from the Starter, saying Norman Powell just glides in transitions. Shout out to Ryerson alumni right there. And then Toronto Raptors saying, the angry OG over everything. And Blake Murphy, writer from The Athletic, also tweeted, do you know how annoying you have to be to get OG Anunoby to show emotion? You get almost as annoying as the scarf face-off with Serge, I'd say. And then, of course, the Toronto Raptors saw O'Shea in the virtual crowd saying, and it's popping O'Shea. He just had a knee injury, which took him out of the bubble. So going back to OG real quick, Akil, what was your impression of OG after he responded from being fouled in the face of all places too?
I was surprised he showed emotion. He's probably one of the most stoic people. He's a young Seneca, right? He studies stoicism probably in his spare time. But I mean, it's playoffs, and I think, like Randy said earlier in the show, they were looking for ways to turn up the game. And I think after everyone watched Michael Jordan's documentary and saw he was able to manufacture motivation out of almost anything, if someone hits you in the face, I think you should be able to like pick up the energy. No, Randy?
Yeah, I mean that screen or illegal screen, that hit was completely uncalled for. And Blake's tweet is so funny because you really do have to be massively annoying to get him to show emotion. I thought the 2 possessions after that, he attacked the rim, dunked it, and then attacked again. There was he had made up his mind, I'm going to punish these guys, and it worked out in his favor. He made 1 or 2 free throws with 3 points.
All right,
yeah, we saw.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Sam.
no. I said we saw like a lot of contributions from Norm as well. Do you think he could carry that on into Game 3?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Norm, this was a perfect game for Norm. He's so good at finding these lanes, right? That I almost feel like a few times like, oh, I don't know if I would have drove there, and he did, and he finishes with such ease. So the more confidence Norm gets, and we've seen this great progression here from the scrimmage to the bubble games to now the playoffs. This is peak Norm.
Peak Norm, peak playoffs, 104-99. The Toronto Raptors win Game 2 in their best-of-7 series versus the Eastern Conference's 7th seed, the Brooklyn Nets. Game 3 goes Friday, and we will be wrapping that up with another edition of Raptors Nightcap, now brought to you by the good folks at Sterling Vineyards. I'm going to go pour me up a nice glass of Sterlings as well as the rest of the crew. We'll see you next time. Keep following.